In November 2011, LaToya Ammons, her mother Rosa Campbell, and LaToya's 3 children, 2 boys and a girl, moved into a house on Carolina Street in Gary, Indiana. Although the home wasn't luxurious, it seemed like a good place to start over. They had no idea that what awaited them inside those walls would change their lives forever. The first few days went by without incident, but soon strange things started happening. At first, it was small noises, creaks in the floor when no one was walking, doors opening and closing without explanation. Then, wet footprints appeared on the floor as if someone were walking barefoot through the house, but no one else was there. One night, Grandma Rosa woke up startled. She had heard whispers in the living room. When she got up to check, she saw a tall, dark shadow slowly moving down the hallway. She blinked, and the figure vanished. The next morning, she tried to convince herself it had just been a nightmare. But her granddaughter, LaToya's eldest daughter, approached her trembling and asked, "Grandma, who was that man in my room last night?" As the days went by, the events became more disturbing. One night, LaToya woke up feeling pressure on her chest. She opened her eyes and saw a dark figure standing at the foot of her bed. The figure had glowing red eyes and was staring at her intently. When she tried to scream, she felt something invisible grabbing her neck, preventing her from breathing. The children also began to behave strangely. Her youngest son, who was 7, started talking to himself in his room. When his mother asked who he was talking to, he replied casually, "With the tall man who lives in the closet." Things escalated when her eldest daughter, who was 12, began experiencing inexplicable episodes of violence and possession. One day, they found her unconscious in her bed with a sinister smile on her face. When she woke up, she didn't remember anything. The attacks became more violent. One day, while LaToya was in the kitchen, her youngest son started screaming. When she ran to see what was happening, she found the child levitating above his bed. Grandma Rosa tried to hold him down, but something invisible threw him against the wall. The fear turned into desperation. LaToya and Rosa sought help at the local church. The priest who attended to them listened to their story carefully and recommended blessing the house. With holy water, they went through each room and prayed, but the paranormal activity only intensified. Soon after, LaToya consulted with a medium. The medium told her that the house was infested with at least 200 demons and that urgent exorcisms were needed. But things took an even more terrifying turn when the Department of Child Services, DCS, intervened. A social worker and a doctor were sent to the house after receiving reports of the children missing school and showing signs of abuse. What they witnessed there would haunt them for the rest of their lives. On April 26, 2012, a social worker named Valerie Washington and a doctor examined the children at the local hospital. While interviewing the youngest son, something impossible happened. The child growled, showed an eerie smile, and began to walk backward up the wall, to the ceiling, as if gravity didn't exist. He then fell to the floor and became unconscious. The witnesses were horrified. The doctor, a skeptic, wrote in his report that he couldn't find a rational explanation for what he had seen. The state of Indiana decided to take custody of the children, arguing that the house was not safe for them. But even after they were separated, the phenomena continued. The case drew the attention of Father Michael Maginot, a priest who began investigating the house. He discovered that the property had a dark history. Human skeletal remains were found in the basement. It was said that a witch had performed rituals in the house in the 1930s. Former residents reported similar experiences with malevolent entities. Father Maginot obtained permission to perform a formal exorcism. In total, he conducted 3 exorcisms, 2 in English and 1 in Latin. During the rituals, LaToya fell into a deep trance, shouting in strange tongues. After the 3rd exorcism, the paranormal activity ceased. LaToya regained custody of her children, and they moved to another state. In 2014, paranormal investigator Zach Bagans, from the show Ghost Adventures, purchased the house to study it. He set up cameras and spent several nights inside, but what he experienced left him so terrified that he decided to demolish the house in 2016. To this day, the lot where the house once stood remains empty. Neighbors say that, on some nights, you can still hear whispers in the wind,